Good morning, everybody. This is Dr. Nicholas Samstag in Mental Health and Business. It's my great pleasure today to introduce you to Peter Van Woerkum, who is the CEO and founder of a very interesting, so interesting business about breathing called Regulate. And he's been kind enough to join us for an hour or so today and tell us all about it. Peter, welcome.
Thank you, Nicholas, for having me, and I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, you know when I found you on the internet, and it said that your business was about breathing.
Mm.
I have to say, the first part of me didn't take it seriously. I thought, is this a satire? Um, is this just some like crazy smart thing that somebody in England, with Monty Python, dreamt up? But no, it's not. You actually have been successful in um, introducing. I'll say reintroducing, but probably introducing people for the first time to how important breathing is, something that we take for granted, something that everybody does, but
Yeah.
very few people do well. So I'm um, I'm so happy that you're here today. Tell us how this all came to pass. You certainly didn't see this when you were a kid in grammar school, I suspect.
No, well, maybe unconsciously. I don't know. But it's interesting to start actually there because I come from a family of musicians, and I think unconsciously breathing was something that was always present because my father played the flute and my mother was a singer. So
Mm.
somehow they were involved with breathing or more aware of their breathing at least. Uh, no, but I think it only really sparked my interest actually after my first years of working. I come from a very traditional background. I graduated as an engineer, then started to work in a strategy consulting firm, then worked at a client at a big corporate bank, and it was only in my early 30s when I discovered, I'm maybe not here to live a corporate citizen life. Um, and it was actually one experience that really triggered me, which I was doing a big project where I also needed to say goodbye to a lot of people in that bank. And they were all, let's say, people that were long with the company and they were in their 50s. And they said to me, Peter, this is one of the best things that ever happened to me. And I said, why? Yeah, because now I can finally do with my life what I really want to do. And then I thought, okay, this is never going to happen to me. And then that sort of started my self-discovery process of, okay, what do I really want to get out of this life? And I really actually just stumbled upon breathwork on a holiday where I was, found myself in a breathing session led by someone who was trained by Wim Hof, who is quite, well, maybe quite known to a few people. And I still can go back to that first breathwork session, to the feeling that I had there, and that was completely new to me. A few things happened. One was it was, I think, for the first time that I really connected to my body again. I was so in my head up until that time. Um, and I also saw a lot of things. So these images that you can have in your mind, and they were so clear, and it was also so clear that what I had to do.
Mm.
And that was the moment where I thought, okay, this is something I want more of. Uh, and then I just started to be more interested in the whole concept of breathing. I started to do some trainings. I left my corporate job, started my own company, and started to work more and more with breathwork in the years after. But we get to speak about that a bit later, I guess. So
Could you?
yeah,
Sorry to interrupt you. Could
yeah,
could you tell us a little bit about what your initial class or experience with,
yeah.
like, what was it, guided imagery? Was it?
Yeah, yeah, I can tell a little bit about that. So it was actually, I think it was half an hour of so-called Tummo breathing, and some people know that as Wim Hof breathing, which is basically a very old technique used by monks in Tibet. And they use it as an active way of meditating. And it's a cycle of, let's say, 30, 40 deep breaths. It's like a controlled hyperventilation type of breathing. You overbreathe. And then there are retention phases. So those are phases where you don't breathe. And these take anything between like 30 seconds and 2 minutes, more or less. And in this case, it was combined with a little bit of like meditative elements, like visualization techniques. But it was actually super simple, straightforward. But the first sensation of not breathing was extremely weird and so special. So that really struck my my mind.
How long were you not breathing for?
I think afterwards she told me that we were not breathing for 2 minutes. That was the longest
2 minutes.
cycle. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And do you remember the feelings that came up?
Yeah, it was very nice. So first, there was a very strong physical sensation in the first time. So you're over breathing and all kinds of processes are being triggered in your body. So you start to feel like tingling sensations all over your body, like a little sensation of as if there's electricity on your skin, but in a pleasant way. And in the not breathing, there was this just complete silence and this, being in nothing and thinking of nothing and just only feeling your body. And at some point, even sort of this being lifted from your body and just in this spaciousness. It was a very, very nice feeling. Afterwards, I learned that by this type of breathing, two things happen. One, you're turning off your neocortex or activating it less. And you know more about this than I do, probably. But and you're activating deeper parts of your brain that are also stimulated by LSD and marijuana, for instance. So I understood afterwards why this, this slightly trippy feeling came up.
What was happening in your life surrounding this? Was there something when you left? I mean, it's a big thing to leave. It's a big thing to leave, right? Full stop. But it's a big thing to leave what sounds like a successful, more conventional, certainly career. What was
Yeah.
were there other ancillary things that contributed to you doing this at that point?
Yeah. I think there was like deep inside some feeling of I'm almost betraying myself. I'm living a sort of life that deep down inside I know this is not for me, but I was sort of refusing to see it, and I was also scared. I was scared to do something different. First of all, where people would say, "Oh, why do you leave a corporate job?" I mean, that's sort of the ultimate thing to achieve,
Right.
and also a lot about giving up uncertainty or stepping into uncertainty and not knowing what would happen after. That was going on, and I think my really deep down inner knowing that I had to do something was the strongest sensation that was actually going on.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you took this class and you had this incredible experience.
Yeah.
Um, did you do did you do any market research before you started this company, or did you just like jump?
No, a
How did
lot.
you?
No, 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 no. I did a lot. Over the years, so I first became a Wim Hof instructor myself. That took like almost 3 years. Then I did a very intense class with Patrick McEwen, who is the specialist in so-called Buteyko breathing, which funnily enough got a lot of attention during COVID because all of a sudden people were thinking of or trying to find ways to treat people that had difficulties with their breathing. And this is actually more of a medical type of breath work that is also being used in Canada and in the US to treat long COVID patients. So I did that training, and then I did another training on pranayama breathing, and another training. And I thought, okay, now I know I think I know enough from this world. And it was actually only through experiencing when I was coaching a lot of founders of companies and executives, where I realized that, wow, many of these people are really struggling with their mental fitness or their mental health. And there were a few people that I met that told me that, hey, I had this severe burnout. I started this company, had this severe burnout, and one of the things that got me out of it was breathwork, because it made me feel connected to my body again. It made me realize, a lot of things, and I actually made this like a habit of mine. And then I started to research that a little bit more. So, well, is this just NS1, or is this like this sort of secret community all doing breathwork that I don't know of?
Right.
And actually, I found out that there were quite some entrepreneurial networks of founders and executives that were actually almost secretly doing like breathwork sessions in crazy places.
Huh.
Uh,
Huh.
and they all came back with this epiphany of, wow, this is something great. So that was also part of my research. So I knew that it was working. I also know that I can explain why it works, but I also discovered that there was almost this secret community of people doing this actually.
How
And then I
interesting.
found out, I mean, there's other industries like top athletes doing it, top artists before going on stage. The more you dive into it, the more you discover that, there are a lot of people doing this actually, but it's almost under the radar.
Mm-hmm. So jumping to the present, what do you do? Individual sessions? Do you have a team of people that do this?
Yeah.
Both.
So I do one-on-one breathwork sessions, but occasionally, so it's not too many. I did that quite some time until I founded the company. And we have a team of 7 people now that we run the company with, which is a combination of breathwork coaches, but also more on the back side, technology-driven people that also help us create breathwork sessions and a app where we have breathwork sessions available for people to really make breathwork into a routine.
Mm. So where are you based? Where are you working from?
Yeah. So the company is based in Munich. That's where we started. I live in the Netherlands now. I lived in Austria for a few years. That's how we got into the startup ecosystem of Germany, based in Munich. But the company is based in Munich. Yeah.
So if people want to contact you and your company, do they do it through the app?
So they contact us mostly through LinkedIn or our website, regulate.me. And through our network of ambassadors, as we call them. And those are basically all people that run fairly successful companies that somehow have a very strong link to breathwork. Either they discovered it because they had a burnout, or they discovered it as this secret tool to just train their mental fitness. And they're all advocates. And some of them are quite known also in the US. And
So hang on. So these are business people who
yeah,
have gone through your program who are actually then training other people, or
so they are introducing us to leaders of companies where they believe, hey, this might be something for you. We give them like a gift card, and they got introduced to like a first breathwork session as a tryout, and then we start like a program with those companies. We usually start with the leadership team. We organize like a breathwork really introduction session that they understand how it works. They go through the experience, and then afterwards we offer it to a bigger part of their organization.
That's amazing. Do you have any clients in the United States?
I'm actually working with a foundation that was established in the US, and they work with a lot of very renowned universities also, where they try to help people that start their business, that become founders of businesses, to really do that in a healthy way. So they try to teach them very early on in their careers modalities to help them be successful in a healthy way, and that includes also breathwork. And I'm involved there to teach them how to make breathwork into a routine or a tool for self leadership, as we call it.
That's amazing. I'm amazed that I'm amazed that you have any clients in the United States.
I mean, last week we launched with a company called Personio, which is a big HR a company, HR tooling company, and they're also based in New York, and throughout 8 other offices in the world. So it's everywhere.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
we spoke very briefly when you were in your car, I believe.
yeah,
Um, and yeah, the notion that my experience of founders and executives and business types, and I've treated a lot of them, and I still do, is that they are, as a group, unanimously opposed
yeah,
to anything psychological.
yeah,
And it's very rare that one of them pops into my office and says, there's a stigma about it. It's not manly. I mean, women are much better at this than men are.
yeah,
Um, uh, and one of the first things that happens, of course, and you know this as well or better than I do, when you start breathing, you start feeling things.
hmm, yeah,
If you come from a culture or a subculture that does not want to look at things or feel, you don't want to feel certain bad feelings, so called,
yeah,
you're going to go running for the hills, and then you start. Anyway, so
yeah,
I think that's amazing. I think that's just such a great way of getting people, um, introducing people often to the fact that they have a psychology, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's very interesting that, and I still remember this very vividly. I was asked by actually a board of directors of another big bank in Europe, who basically had been in crisis for 2 years, and through all kinds of circumstances, very externally driven. And they got to a point where they realized we're actually not doing too well.
Yeah,
And someone stood up. In this case, it was like an HR leader that stood up. Hey, we need to do something. We need to take care of ourselves.
yeah.
Um, and I was asked, and it was a big risk that she took to ask me to stand in front of a room, mostly men, all in suits, and I did a breathwork exercise with them, very light, and it was like
Oh,
5 minutes, and after that they said, "Can we please do more of this?" And then
yeah,
slowly, at the end of the day, they were all lying on yoga mats, and we were doing a session of like 45 minutes,
yeah.
with these similar sensations, and I just explained, and they were like, wow, we didn't know that this even existed. And they were so grateful. And then what usually happens, if one person speaks up and takes the courage to say, hey, I now experienced something that I knew I actually needed, and show this vulnerability, and that opened up, like, let's say, a whole new dimension in this group.
Right,
It was really, really wonderful.
right. That's amazing. That's
Yeah,
amazing. I mean, it's such a brilliant and um, direct way of regulating emotion, right? You can't regulate emotions that you don't recognize.
yeah,
So
yeah,
you have to first you have to first acknowledge that you have them.
yeah, yeah,
Um, and then then comes the arduous task of putting language to them,
Yeah. Yeah.
which can be a trap as well as an asset. But
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
really amazing. Did you were you interested in psychology ever? I mean, was that something that, because this is certainly a direct route there.
Yeah. Yeah. So yes, I think I even when I started to do some like tests of what could be a study that fits me, I think something like psychology also popped up, but I
Hmm.
didn't really never really explored that route. It was actually more like spirituality that took my attention. Um, and through that path, exploring that a little bit, came also on the exploring more on psychology.
Hmm.
I would say I'm very very limited in my knowledge and experience so far, but the interest is definitely there. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Um, so I assume I'm not familiar with the folks that you train with, but I assume that fairly quickly um, in this project, people are going to have all kinds of big feelings.
yeah,
They're
yeah,
going to be there's going to be a lot of tears,
yeah,
or a lot of so-called uncomfortable feelings,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
What happens then?
yeah. Yeah, it's a great question, and we also feel that we have a responsibility there. So, especially when people do this for the first time, they can also be overwhelmed by what they experience.
Yeah, for sure.
So we have like a support network for people where they can go for individual consultation or even guidance, and that happens quite a lot. So people experience something and they come back to us and say, "Hey, can I do like a one-on-one session, for instance?" Uh, that's usually what happens.
Yeah, just a little plug here for psychoanalysis. Freud, when I mean, Freud got a lot of things wrong. He got a lot of things right.
Mm,
And Hollywood does us a disservice whenever we see him on the screen. But one of the things he discovered early in his work was that catharsis, which was the process by which someone connects in a way that lets them expel a lot of emotional energy,
mm.
that was momentarily relieving,
Yeah,
but it wasn't enough because
yeah,
the symptoms returned.
yeah, yeah,
So once the person had done that, this is how he discovered major aspects of his work. Once you've discovered that you have feelings, um, uh, especially really unpleasant feelings, and you have memories that are attached to them,
yeah.
then the next step is to, typically with an analyst, but you can do it in other ways, to connect the feelings to the source,
Mm,
right? Like you have to, so you have the feeling, but if you just have an outpouring of grief,
mm,
and you have no idea where it came from,
yeah,
or you have some misguided understanding,
yeah.
then it's not as helpful as if you can connect it to a source. I
Mm,
mean, that, in a very, very simplistic way, that's how we discovered this whole project called psychoanalysis.
yeah,
So there you have people who are maybe for the first time, um, really connecting with some profound feelings and experiences.
yeah,
And at that point, if they wanted to, they could they could see somebody and talk about it.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, right.
yeah. And for many people, then breathwork is an entry point to those feelings and into a
Yeah,
process of discovering more.
yeah.
Yeah,
I think that's such a brilliant thing that you've done here. And as we were speaking briefly in our first conversation, it's really an interesting statement that we need this,
yeah,
like to teach people how to breathe, right?
yeah,
I mean, on a certain level, it's like, oh my goodness, where have we come from? That we actually we need someone to teach us this. Yeah,
yeah. But
yeah,
it is, and I mean, we can look at this in a way that it's a pity that we need it, but on the other hand, it's actually great that we're open to it to
Yes,
relearn it again.
absolutely,
Because I think we come
absolutely.
from a time where we have been pushing away everything that was a little bit less directly to understandable or explainable. If it's not proven, then it doesn't exist. Whereas many years ago, and that's the beauty, people in all kinds of societies and cultures were actually doing breath work. They were working with their breath. They were consciously breathing to regulate their state. And
Right,
then there's this gap of, I don't know, 1,000 year where we were just ignoring this,
right.
um, and we were just rediscovering. And some people like Wim Hof, but also James Nestor, who wrote a fantastic book, Breath, allowed the public or the general public to be open to this. And COVID obviously helped also, to be honest.
Yeah, yeah. And how many cultures, used to have song, or,
Yeah,
I mean, people singing was I mean, one of the, I mean, this is no news to you, but one of the reasons we think people sang and sing is just that. Is that it gets you in touch with things. It gets you in touch with your feelings.
yeah,
Um,
and it regulated people's nervous systems, and it gave some sort of connection between people. There's lots to say about that.
yeah, it also makes me think of, we don't know how to breathe. We also don't know how to walk. So many of us, right, end up in the chiropractor's office or the osteopath, and it's like,
Yeah,
they see you coming in the door, and they say, "What are you doing? Like,
yeah,
you're favoring your left side, and your arms jutting out, and your
yeah,
neck's all wrong, right? So we
yeah,
need help doing that too."
yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, it's a pity that there's this great book from Gabor Mate. You probably know it. It's called When the Body Says No.
Oh yeah,
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 yeah. So unfortunately, some people have to experience a big experience or traumatic experience or however you want to call it before they start to adjust themselves. That can be how they move, but also how they breathe. Or
yeah. Absolutely. There's another. I mean, there are a number of them, of course, but there's one. Have you heard of the body keeps score? When the body keeps score?
yeah, yeah,
But Basil van der Kolk. I mean,
yeah,
that's about trauma, but
yeah, yeah.
the body
The
the
body
body
is like a
remembers.
big archive. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Right.
And that is then that's more the maybe the spiritual side of breath work. The beauty that with certain breathing practices you can really help someone connect to very deeply ingrained or imprinted sensations in their archive in their body,
Yeah.
uh, and to let those sometimes stuck emotions flow through their body again.
Now, do you see your clients more than once? I mean, or is there are there some people who just keep seeing you, or is there an endpoint?
So this varies a lot. So I have CEOs that say, Peter, I want to see you every 2 months, and just work 2 hours, and that's more effective than speaking to a coach every 2 weeks. And there are people I see once, and they are good to go with using the Breathwork app that we have. Um, the difference is that people that continue to see me, they go really on a path of consistent growth. So every time they discover something or they really allow themselves even more to just feel what is going on and they learn from that. Whereas the other group is more functional, I would say. So they learn a specific technique, how to regulate their state, and they are fine with that. Um, Probably those at some point will also come for, let's say, deeper and longer experiences.
Do you talk to these people when the session's over? I mean, is there
Yeah,
is there talking?
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it starts and ends with talking. So I always first check in with someone. So, what is your state currently? And that can be emotional, mental, or physical. And what is going on? And what is your intention for this session? So,
Hmm.
why do you do this? And then afterwards, there's space for integration. So, what happened, and what do you take from this, and what do you want with it, and how can you take this forward?
Hmm. So great. So great. What do you do for fun?
It's a great question. So it's actually, so for me, it's a new experience I call it, to be on the other side. So I have been in the field of leadership coaching for more than 10 years. I've seen a lot, and now I am experiencing myself a lot of the things that I have been seeing with my clients,
Huh.
because starting up a company, it's just never stops. It's 24/7 basically. Um, and I love what I do. And one
Hmm.
of the things I get a lot of energy from is creating music.
Hmm.
So together with a composer, and who's also a sound engineer, we create our own music for all our breathwork sessions.
Oh, how great.
Against all the advices of people in the industry that don't do it. Yes, I want to have my own music, and I'm very glad we took the decision. So I create. I play piano. I play a handpan for relaxation. I have 3 daughters. I love to spend time with them, which
Hmm.
is also a lot of fun. Um, and I like sports, so I really like endurance sports, so running and cycling, uh, where there's also a lot of breathing involved.
Yeah.
Yeah, so those are the 3 things I really really love doing.
That sounds great.
Uh,
One of the when right out of graduate school 100 years ago, I interviewed at a company. Um, I don't remember what the name was. They're probably wildly famous right now. Um, but it was a 4-hour interview, and the idea was that we were going to be hired to help executives keep the people who worked for them, right? So
yeah, yeah, yeah.
so it was, so the top bond trader or whoever it is would, I won't repeat what they said he said, but he
Mhm.
would he would abuse his colleagues, and they would all leave him. And anyway, so it seemed pretty silly to me at the time, and I wasn't very good in the interview. I wasn't very polite. I wasn't offered the job, which was good because I wasn't going to take it.
Yeah.
But it occurred to me, um, if people really got healthy in some of these finance jobs, the ones where people are screaming and slamming the phone down, and
Mhm.
all the rest of it. If people got healthy, would they still want to work there? And
Yeah.
like, do you have any data on that? Like, do you ever get people who are coming from these kind of trench warfare financial situations, and then that they have ulcers and they drink too much and they can't sleep, and they talk to you for a while, and they do these amazing breath exercises, and they come out of it and they go, I don't want to do this anymore.
So there are a lot of situations when people have this first, I'd say, aha, in German, aha Erlebnis. So I experienced this, and all of a sudden I realize, okay, I'm in the wrong place, or this is not for me.
Yeah.
So that there's a category of people that experiences that, but there's also a category of people that realizes, hey, maybe I'm slightly out of balance, or I'm in this environment that maybe there are some things I don't like, but I can also take responsibility to change it. I mean, there's only one person that can change my life, and that's me. So I take up the challenge and I just start to influence. That is also what people do. Uh, and I like that, because then from within an organization, they try to make it better.
Right. I mean, there's so many interesting things to talk about here. There are companies, right? There are industries that pride themselves on not paying any attention to psychology or emotion.
Hmm.
Medicine is at the top, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, throughout the world, and I hope there are exceptions, but basically, medical people are trained to keep their psychology and their emotions at home, and
Yeah.
that they are it the what's privileged is efficiency and speed.
Yeah.
You have to see, 72 patients in a day. You have 3 minutes with each of them, right? You don't have the time or the energy to be a connected human being.
Yeah.
Um, Now, what happens there? I mean, if those people got in touch with their feelings, what would they do? I mean, the environment won't support it, will it?
Yeah. I don't know. So I've also seen environments. You talk about medical or the pharmaceutical industry, where I've been working with people that actually are very glad that they can open up and they can feel feelings and that they can talk about it without it being ridiculized or judged. And what I experience, it usually takes just a few brave or courageous people to just open that door, and normalize that you also talk about other things and just the rational things that we're used to talk about.
Mm. Well, that's good to hear. I mean, it's good to hear. I think some of these environments are so entrenched this way. It's going to take a while.
Absolutely.
Um, and
Absolutely.
someone, I was talking to a medical colleague of mine recently about this, and he's not one of the robots, of whom they are legion. But he said that one of the things that he does, and he doesn't have any time either, is when he does his rounds, if it's okay with the patient, he actually sits on the bed,
Hmm.
and that just put a chill up my spine. I thought, that's amazing.
Yeah.
He has 5 minutes,
Yeah.
but instead of standing over them with a clipboard,
Hmm.
you know, looking at his watch, he actually sits on the bed and talks to them.
Yeah.
I thought that's something that can be done, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But 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 there are environments that are really very difficult to do all that. Anyway, this is great. You could revolutionize the military and the medical profession.
Well, yes. I mean, I think I'm lucky that I get to work with a lot of new companies, so that
Hmm.
are building up, and they are usually also more purpose driven. So they really work from, okay, we want to solve a real problem, and we create a business around that. Of course, they're also focused by or driven by optimizing things and being profitable. But I realized that they are more aware of the importance of being a healthy a human being, and that there is more than just pushing always and optimizing everything without caring about your own body, for instance, and those of the people that work for you.
Yeah, I've definitely found that in my year ish podcasting life. I'm amazed at the younger people, younger generation, are much more open to this,
Yeah,
which I was surprised by.
yeah. I
Yeah.
was triggered by one thing that you just mentioned, which is the army, by the way, because just like in top sports and with artists, the army has been an area where breathwork is really the normal thing to do, and that is not the maybe not the transformational type of breathwork where you feel a lot, but the simple techniques to regulate your state, to be calm when you feel stressed, to be focused when you need to be focused, to also unwind after a very hectic situation, is something that they are teaching people in the army, also for many years already.
What country is this happening in?
I know that this is also happening in the US.
Really?
Yeah. I spoke to a guy from the special forces, which was not in the US, but it was not in Europe either. they said, Peter, the most intense breath work I did was I've been thrown into water with my hands and my feet tied. And the only thing I needed to learn was to relax in an extremely stressful situation and just focus on my breath, that I stay calm, and I only have to let myself sink to the bottom and push myself up.
How
And
about that?
I was like, wow. I mean, you can look at that very deep. That's a deep experience if you go through that. But the point I'm trying to make is that the functional breath work, so just learning to use your breath with very simple techniques to regulate your state in the moment is something that is used in the army quite a lot.
I had no idea. How interesting. How
Yeah, a
interesting.
simple thing like box breathing, many people know that. You inhale for 4 counts, then you hold your breath for 4 counts, then you exhale again for 4 counts, and then you hold your breath again for 4 counts. And you do that for 4 minutes, and in your mind you draw like a little box. You inhale, you hold, you exhale, and you hold. And you repeat that, and you count in your head. That's actually a technique. It's invented by the Navy SEALs, and they
No
do it
way.
before they go into a mission and after and straight after.
How about that?
It's regulating their nervous system and distracting their thoughts.
Fascinating. That's just fascinating.
Crazy, yeah?
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, animals don't need our help with that. They don't need our help walking, and they don't need our help breathing.
No,
Um,
no.
yeah,
That's the pity, and then I agree with you that we need to relearn basically how to breathe.
well, I think we need to relearn all kinds of things.
Yeah.
One of the things that I've been really enjoying in my podcast, my short podcast career here, is it's just helping people, helping people acknowledge that there is this thing called psychology,
Mm-hmm.
right? Not to leap into something heavy like psychoanalysis, but
Mm-hmm.
it's a big news flash to many people that they actually have a psychology, and they don't have to be crazy or metaphorically bleeding from the neck in order to see somebody like me.
Yeah.
Like, you can actually talk to them,
Yeah. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with you when you do that.
and there's something wrong with you when you do that. Right.
Yeah, actually, you're
Right.
probably, very wise to invest in that for yourself.
Well, it's funny. We used to joke in the hospital that it's the people who aren't in therapy that you have to watch out for.
Yeah.
The stigma, the stigma is, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have to tell you this because it was just so profound for me. So I used to do a lot of scuba diving. I
Mm.
haven't been able to do it recently. And the thing that hooked me was during one early training session. We were in a swimming pool,
Mm-hmm.
and we had, I don't know, do you scuba dive? Have you ever scuba dived?
I've done it. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So you have a buoyancy control device, right?
Yeah.
Which you fill with air,
Yeah.
and you're in the swimming pool, and they tell you to achieve natural buoyancy.
Let's see. Yeah.
Natural buoyancy is achieved when you inhale and you go up, and you
Exactly.
exhale
And
and
you
you
go
go
down.
down, and you're like a
Yeah.
fish,
Yeah.
and you learn to do that at any given level.
Yeah.
And I just thought, this is the coolest thing in the world. I've got to do this. So that's what got me into scuba diving, was
Yeah. Yeah.
essentially
Yeah.
breath work.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Fascinating.
That's funny. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, this has been great. Please tell our audience all of your address information, email, and how to contact you and all that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the easiest way is to look at regulate.me. You'll find everything about the company.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right, Peter. Well, this has been great. Maybe we can do this again at some point.
Yeah, I would love to, Nicholas.
Yeah.
And it has been a real pleasure. And I think we're only at the beginning.
Yeah. Really, really interesting and admirable stuff. Thanks so much for
Yeah.
joining us.
Thank you so much.
Okay, this
Okay.
is Mental Health and Business signing off. See you next time.